video on faith, and I'm not a very religious guy. I mean, I believe in a higher power, right? But I don't go to church, and I don't do stuff like that. But I had a story I really wanted to share with y'all. Well, a couple stories kind of mushed into one, and so here it kind of goes. So I was on my way home from work yesterday. I work from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day. So anyway, I was on my way home from work, and on my way home from work, I had the tread of my tire kind of blow off, so that it's the regular tire, it's still inflated, but the tread is blown off, and as you're going down the road, it's going plap, 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 plap. Anyway, so I get to the story. So first of all, when this happens, I had a situation similar to this that happened when I used to drive this old busted up van, and when it happened, I mean, this tire, it busted off my side step, it busted up my fender, it busted up my door, it beat the truck to pieces, messed it all up. So out of just fear of the past and what's happened to me previously, I just knew this had happened to my new truck. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, this is my truck. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But the problem with having this truck is that it's got a StopTech big brake kit on it. It has 20s off of a newer Cadillac Escalade because it required a rim big enough that would slide over the 6-piston brake calipers that are on my car. So it had to have a bigger rim. Anyway, so when this happens, I pull over, I roll down my spare tire. Well, it turns out the spare on my vehicle was still a stock spare. So anyways, I took the stock spare off. Guess what? Surprise, surprise. The stock spare rim was too small to fit over the caliper and the rotor for the StopTech big brake kit. So, out of the grace of God, I'm right across the street from a garage where this happened. So I drive over to it, with my tire flapping, flap, flap, flap. I get over there, and when I get there, they're closed. So I said, well, I'll run over to the gas station right here, grab me a biscuit, because I got some great biscuits. I go in there, get a biscuit, I come back. About 30 minutes later, the owner of the shop comes in. So he comes in, and I say, hey, man, I told him the story. I said I needed a tire. Guess what? Nobody had a 275 5520. He didn't have one. So I called my sister when I leave out of the shop, and I say, hey, listen, I'm stranded. Can you come help me? Unfortunately, my sister said, hey, I'm too busy at work. I can't come help you. My husband can't come help you. He's busy at work. They tried to call a friend for me. She didn't answer the phone. So here I am. They're saying they can come get me around lunchtime. Now keep in mind, by this time it's about 8 o'clock. So who's trying to sit there for 4 hours? So I call up a friend of mine, great guy, and my brother, as far as I'm concerned. I say, hey man, listen, I hate to bother you, blah blah blah. He says, hey man, I'm on the way. That was a miracle. That was a miracle. And I know that a friend coming doesn't sound like a miracle, but that was the first miracle of this story. So, okay, so he says he's going to come. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I start trying to jack the truck up. Now, I got 2 jacks in my vehicle. I got a small floor jack and the stock bottlenose jack that comes on the vehicle. So the first jack that I try to use is the bottleneck jack. Well, it's not tall enough to lift my truck off of its aftermarket suspension, but it's tall enough to lift it up, just not the wheel off the ground. So I take the second jack, the floor jack, and I start trying to jack the vehicle with that. It's not tall enough. So I look around this garage. This guy's got a 4x4 sitting there. I slide the 4x4 under the truck. I put the bottlenose jack under it. I start cranking it up, and it's lifting high enough, and I'm like, cool, but the jack starts kind of leaning. So I said, well, let me let it back down. So I let it back down and straightened out a spot. Got it under there pretty square so it'd be going straight up. I jack it back up, and just for safety precautions, I took the second jack and I extended it all the way and lined it up with the frame slitted under the truck. So I get the jack up on the bottlenose jack. I got the second jack standing there. I take the rim off of the vehicle. As soon as I take the rim off the vehicle, the truck begins to roll back about probably 2-3 inches, just enough, to get it to where, the gears stopped it from rolling back any further. But it was far enough for it to fall off of the bottlenose jack. And thank God I had that second jack under it. It caught my vehicle with my rotor like this far from the ground. That was the second miracle. So here I am, truck sitting, an inch from the ground, tires off the vehicle, but the one jack's crooked, and I'm like, man, I gotta get this lined up so I ain't gonna worry about it falling off this jack, because the jack only caught the inch by only caught the frame by like an inch. So I get the one jack, I lift it up enough, I slide the other jack over and crank that up. So now I gotta sit on two jacks when the old man pulls up. He gets out his car and says, sir, please don't get under that car without putting something under it. He goes on to tell me a story about what had happened to him a year previous. He was working on a truck, and he was underneath the truck with just enough room for him to kind of slide his face under. The vehicle slipped off the jack. This had just happened to me. And he said it pinned him. Messed up his teeth, the back of his head. This old man. And the old man says, I know I'm going to sound crazy when I tell you this. And he was generally emotional, like borderline about to cry when he was telling me this. He said, when this happened to me, he said, all I could think was, I'm dead, I'm going to die here. He said, and I went like this, and he said, and I'm not strong enough to pick up a pickup truck. He said, I'm not strong enough. He said, and I know how this sounds. I know it sounds crazy. He said, but when I went like this, the truck lifted up about a foot off the ground. Enough for me to get out from under the truck. And I told him, I said, man, let me stop you right there. I said, I don't think that what you're saying sounds crazy. And let me tell you why. I've always questioned my faith. I've always questioned. But a while back, I was working with a guy, and I was in questioning faith and if God is real and etc. And anyway, in the process of questioning this, a friend of mine who's very religious, he considers himself to have a relationship with God. And I always thought he was weird when he would say this to me. And he said, listen, if you're having trouble believing in God, he said, tell God to show himself to you. So about 2 o'clock in the morning one morning, I'm sitting there and I'm mocking God. I'm mocking him. I walk out on my front porch and I say, oh, almighty God, if you're so great and powerful, this is exactly what happened. I said, I'm gonna need you to show yourself to me. Prove to me that you're real. And I said, and it better scare the shit out of me. I said, it better scare the shit out of me. And I pointed up in the sky and I said, I want to see a fucking shooting star right there. And I pointed at a spot in the sky. And right at that time, I heard something in my backyard. It sounded like someone beating on an aluminum trash can with a ball peen hammer. And I'm going to tell you, it scared the shit out of me, right? It scared the shit out of me. I grabbed my shot. I run back in the house. I grabbed my shotgun. I walk out to the backyard. I'm walking around. I'm looking for, and no, I wasn't on drugs. I was not on drugs. But I'm walking around and I'm looking, and there is nothing. Sorry about this. It's kind of making my head tighten up talking about it. But looking around, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Come back in the house. I put the shotgun back. I walk back out on my front porch and look up at the sky exactly where I had said I want to see a fucking shooting star. And at that exact time, across the sky, I seen a shooting star exactly where I pointed. It's kind of emotional to talk about this because to me it's very real, and I still think this today. And I don't tell a lot of people the story because I don't want to sound crazy. Much like the old man who told me he lifted the truck up off the ground. And it's hard to explain. So I told the man, I said, because of this reason, I believe exactly what you told me. The guy shook my hand and he said, well, just be careful. He left. So I'm laying there, I'm waiting for my friend to get there. He gets to the scene. You know, we put my tire in his truck. I tell my friend, now I didn't have my whole faith story in my mind when I was telling him this. But I was sitting there and I was telling him, I said, man, I feel like every time I start doing good, that God's just picking on me. I feel like he's picking on me. Like every time I'm doing good, he's like, you know what? Alex is doing good. Let me smite him real fast. Let me give him a little slap. Just because he's doing good. He's doing too good, you know. And my friend, he said, hey man, don't think like that, bro. And I said, well, I got to think like that because that's how my life is. So my friend says, man, don't think like that. So we take a ride to my town, which is like maybe 10 miles, 15 miles from where we were. We get to the first tire shop, right? We go in, say, hey man, do you got the size tire? Now my vehicle's all-wheel drive, so I have to have the same size wheel or messes everything up. So they don't have a tire and stuff. My buddy, at the same time, he's on the phone with another tire shop that's in the opposite direction of where we just came from. It's like 20 miles from where we are. He says, yeah, we got some. I knew the guy from that tire shop. I'd done business with him before, great guy. Well, go ahead, shout out to him. His name is Brian Shanks. If y'all are ever in the Farmville area and you need tires, hit up Brian Shanks. He's a great guy. So anyway, he's at a rod and staff tire. But anyway, I get out to Brian's shop. I got to spend money that I really, to be honest with you, I just don't have to spare. And Brian's not there. It's not a big deal. Like, you know, it's a used tire. It's like $30. I just go ahead and buy it. I got to put a tire on there. So we're sitting there waiting. Ended up meeting some great people that I didn't already know, customers in the future. But so waiting on this box truck. They get it out of the way. They take my rim. They start putting the tire. Brian shows up. I get to talking to Brian. And I said, Brian, man, look, man, what are you charging me for a set of, a set of 4, all-terrain or mud tires? Because, winter's coming. I really bought this truck so I could get back and forth because it's a requirement in my job to be at work in the snow. So Brian says, yeah, man, I can get you 4 tires, man, but you're better off getting these because they're better in snow, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, cool. So I said, Brian, man, I talked to you before about doing some tattoo work, working out a bartering system. He said, yeah. And then Brian's wife isn't in the best health, and he wanted to get a tattoo with her. And I mean, I understand that. That's a sentimental thing, and to be honest with you, typically I'd probably do something like that for free, to somebody I really cared about, because I mean, it's something that's going to be with them for the rest of their life, and it really means something to them. So anyway, so Brian says, so what kind of deal you want to work out? Now I'm thinking that Brian is going to want me to give him some money and some tattoo work as a deal on the tires. I said, well, Brian, I said, to be honest with you, man, I'm really in a tight spot, and I'm always trying to save money, man, as much as I can. I got 2 kids, I got a family to take care of. I said, I'd really like to do you know, a full barter if we can do something like that. He said, absolutely, that's 100% fine. He said, I told him the days I had off. He said, I tell you what, he said, I'm gonna order these tires. This is for all-terrain tires, $600 in tires. He said, I'm gonna order all these tires for you. You call me Monday. We're gonna set up some time, some appointments. You can do some designs. He said, and that tire you just got, don't even worry about it. It's on me. That was another miracle. It was another miracle. Now, I know, man, tires don't sound like a miracle. Jacks don't sound like a miracle to somebody that's a non-believer. You know, the people are going to say, oh, the shooting star that you seen and the noise you heard, that was just a fluke. You know, it was just, that's what the normal people are going to say. The point that I'm getting at, I questioned my faith. I questioned my belief today. And in return, God took it in his own hands and said, you know, you feel like I'm smiting you, but I see that this is something that you need help with. And in return, miracles, like, you know, like, let me say, they come to you in many forms. Today, what are all the miracles that came to me? I had a man come to me and tell me that he had a truck fall on him, and almost in tears, like I wouldn't believe him. I believed him. That man was a miracle. He steered me in the right direction to not put myself in danger in that vehicle. And sure as hell, that vehicle fell off that jack and was caught by another jack. God's hands. It might have been a jack, but God's hands guided that vehicle to that jack. My family, nobody that I'm close to could be there to help me. Nobody would help me. My good friend, he worked today. He works during the night. He got out of bed. He got himself together, and he came to help me. That was a miracle. I couldn't afford to spend money on tires. God's hands guided that man's heart that owned that shop to say, hey, take that tire for free. And you know what? You also need tires, so let me help you. Let me help you get a whole set of tires. And for really nothing, in my opinion, because tattoos are really my talent, not financial burden. But God works in mysterious ways, people. If you're questioning something in your life, put it in his hands. If you're questioning your faith, when it's you and you're by yourself and you're all alone, stop and talk to God. Say, God, I need your help. I need you. Show me that you're real. I need to see it. I need to believe that you're really real. And a lot of people are going to see this and they're going to turn the channel before it gets to anything that might even be to this point. It might not even see this. But believe me, people, God is real. Have faith. I don't care what your God is. I don't care if you worship Buddha. I don't care if you worship Ganesh. I don't care if you worship Allah. I don't care if Jesus Christ is your Savior. I don't care who it is that you worship, but believe. We as people, we are one God. We have one God. We call him many names, and I believe a lot of people out here who are firm Christians or are firm Buddhists or are firm Muslims, they're all going to say, no, my God is right. But let me tell you something. We are all one people. We are all one human race. Now, I know you got a lot of racial tension in the world going on right now. You know, our government and our people are putting whites against blacks and blacks against whites and Mexicans against Americans. Listen, stop. We are all people. We are all people. We all bleed red, okay? We are all made of human tissue. We are all one people. We have one God. Please believe whatever you call him, you're not wrong. We all have one God. Love each other. Have faith. Put it in God's hands. If something is going bad, I promise you, things will work out. And remember, it's always the darkest before the sunrise. It's always the darkest before the sunrise. That's really all I got to say. If you liked this video, thank you for watching my channel. Please subscribe. Follow me. Share this video. It would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to continue to bring you, a various of different things, more than just a rant about God, more than just the how-to videos. I'm going to show you a lot of things. I'm going to be a good friend to you. even though we don't know each other, we are all brothers. Thank you for your time. I'm Tattoo Trim. Take care.